In 1620, while the Mayflower was in Provincetown, 18 of its men sailed in a small shallop, searching for a place to live. They came to present-day Eastham, where they were met by a group of Nauset. After a brief but violent encounter, the English left towards today's Plymouth. In 2020, we remember this first encounter. We explore its meanings for today and tomorrow. Hello and welcome back to the Sunset Series. My name is Joanna Hollick. I am the coordinator of the Sunset Series with Eastham 400. I'm here today with Deborah Ullman. Deborah is a local resident. She grew up here in Eastham. She is a member of the Nauset Fellowship Chapel in the Pines. She's also involved in a few different local racial justice groups. And she is a descendant of 5 of the 7 founding families of Eastham. So welcome, Deborah. Could you start by telling us a little bit about your family history?
Yeah, well, I grew up with bragging rights on being descended from Bangs, Doanes, Higginses, Pence, Governor Pence, and Snows. Yeah, I feel pretty deeply situated here. My dad used to speak of his father's mother being born on Nauset Road and his mother's father having been born on Samoset Road, which was then called West Side Drive, or West Side Road, not Samoset yet. Yeah.
So it's clear you have many personal connections here to Eastham. And so today we're going to be reflecting a little bit on the first encounter between the Mayflower passengers and the native people here. And could you start by just telling us what terms you're going to be using in talking about this history?
Sure. I like to use the terms I have been learning over the last year of the start of these 400 commemorations here in Eastham. I've learned from Ian Saxene and from David Silverman's book. This Land is Their Land is Silverman's book. And yeah, so the terms, Indian, of course, is, I don't think it's largely offensive in any way, but it's a generic term. And it was based on the fact that they were looking for the Indies, and they found this land instead, the English explorers. So we might as well refer to people in this story as Wampanoags, which was a network of different people, and specifically call them Nausets, which is what they called themselves. Now, the passengers on the Mayflower have come to be called the Pilgrims, and it's not an entirely accurate term because somewhere around 50% of the passengers on the Mayflower were not religious utopians, were not separatists leaving the Church of England. They were on the trip for other reasons. So a broader term is, of course, Mayflower passengers, or more easily, the English. The word is settlers is used sometimes, and there's an implication in the term settlers that they were landing in a wilderness and were bringing civilization to it. And that incorporates some inaccurate assumptions about what the local people living here were capable of and doing agriculturally and in other ways. So yeah, I use the terms the English or Mayflower passengers and the term Nausets or Wampanoags.
And could you explain a little bit more about why the Nauset were wary of the English?
Right. Okay, so for one thing, it wasn't the first encounter between Europeans and people who lived in these parts. There had been many trading exchanges up and down the coast, including on Cape Cod and on the islands, violent. And people were taken captive as slaves, and so the trepidation was well-founded on the part of the natives when they saw a schooner arriving they had every reason to think that they were in peril. And the people coming from England also didn't know for sure what they were going to encounter, whether the locals would welcome them or not. And their first trip ashore into Truro around Cornhill, they ravaged some grave sites, which was not a way to befriend local. And they also stole some corn seed that was for seed stock in the spring. So, I mean, the behaviors were rough at first. And so there was reason to be wary. And what the Nausets didn't understand was that the English weren't just here to trade. They had women and children on board the Mayflower, which was anchored in Provincetown. So what they encountered at first encounter was a shallop full of exploring party men, and they had every reason to be scared. However, what we discover when we look deeper is that the local Nausets and the Wampanoags and the English had much more in common than they had different, in terms of their relationship to the natural world, in terms of how to survive here, learn from each other, and practice interdependence effectively. That obviously that wasn't the whole story going forward, but those aspects of the story are really important for us to remember. The many ways that the English learned how to survive, which was not an easy thing, especially that first winter of 1620, 1621. Very many of them died getting through that winter. So it was only when they started having useful encounters, Samoset, by the way, the road we're on, named after Samoset, was one of the emissaries from the natives that was helpful in the learning that the English were able to experience and benefit. So yeah, there were many ways in which they were interdependent, and we're learning so much more about that now, which is a change. It's not a simplification, it's just a change in the story that we grew up with, and other aspects of the story unfold some of the perils that were real.
And you spoke today of both some of the reasons that the English and the Nauset were wary of each other, and of some of the reasons that they lived interdependently and learned from each other, and some of their similarities. And both of these themes are things that we're going to be talking about throughout the summer. So thank you for sharing your information with us and for being with us here today.
Thank you.
My name is Joanna Hollick. Thank you for watching today's episode of the Sunset Series. If you would like to support Eastham 400 efforts, I encourage you to visit our website, where you can buy commemorative items. When you visit eastham400.org, you'll see a yellow bar at the top with the words Purchase Commemoratives. If you click those words, you will be taken to a page where you can purchase each of our items. We are selling 3 different items. The t-shirts come in light blue, navy, and ash gray, and are available in sizes adult small through 3XL. The back of the t-shirt features the Eastham 400 logo designed by local artist Karen Ronaldo. The 3D ornaments are 3 inches in diameter and come in a gold foil box with a special description card. Each t-shirt and ornament is $20. We also have copies of an Eastham montage described in our video from June 3rd. Thank you.